Hope you guys have your New Year's resolution. Happy New Year! Welcome to the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast. I'm your host, Will Santana, and
I'm Mike Russo, and misery loves company. Sorry I had to be you.
All right, Mike, man, it's New Year's, man. You got any New Year's resolutions?
No, I never do. And if I do make them, I break them about a week later. So I don't make resolutions anymore. How about you?
Nah, I haven't done them since I was a teenager, man. Just like you, I don't follow that stuff. The one I need to follow is I need to start eating healthier, and I need to start working out. I need to lose a little bit of weight, man.
Me too, but that shouldn't have to be a resolution. That should just be something you do for yourself.
Yeah, man. I have a bad habit of eating fried food, man. I'm addicted to fried food.
Me too.
And I love soda.
Me too.
Soda is my crack. I need it.
Yeah, McDonald's French fries are my crack. If those didn't exist, I think I'd be a lot healthier.
Oh man. Hey Mike, man, this is our first episode where we get to review from watching on Disney Plus. I know this is like New Year's for everybody else, but we record these in advance, so it was a lot of fun and a lot easier and a lot different for me.
Right, me too. I know I've mentioned it in the past. I watch these things twice. Once just for the enjoyment factor of it, to just take the episode in. Mm-hmm. And the second time to just sit there and pause it and to go back and look at it and to take notes. And taking notes when I can play Disney Plus on my phone and go back and forth and just sit there at a table and not have to watch it on TV is so convenient.
Yeah, man. It made it so easy, so convenient. You know, the quality was so much better because it was DVD quality. It just was a blast for me, man. You know?
Yeah, for people like us who are doing this as like, you know, a side project, as like a hobby, even, you know, it's so helpful. It's like a tool almost. Mm-hmm. You know, and I really appreciate having it at my fingertips on my phone like that. And you know what? The interface on Disney Plus on my phone is really fast.
Yeah, it is on mine too, man. And I only have an iPhone 7, but it still looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're boring you guys because Disney Plus at this point is a month and a half old, so we won't dwell on it any longer. But yeah, this is the first one we're doing where we're not having to go off of a DVD anymore, and it's nice.
Oh yeah.
No more switching discs.
So Mike, man, let's go ahead and before we get into the review, let's do a year in recap of Darkwing.
Yes, this has been an interesting year for Darkwing Duck. Not a lot of merchandise. Actually, well, really, there hasn't been much merchandise at all if you don't go to Disney parks, honestly.
Yeah.
What has come out from Disney parks?
Well, we had the 3 pins. All 3 of them were limited edition exclusive pins. Like, you had to really get them or go eBay.
Weren't they all Disneyland?
They were all 2 were Disneyland, 1 was Disney World and Disneyland.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, the one that was Disney World Disneyland was the one that had Mega Duck and Darkwing on it, the Capcom looking version, the NES
those
one.
Are cool.
Yeah. The second one that had the heart and said like I love gaming was Disneyland only, and then the Morgana one was Disneyland only.
Right. And speaking of the Morgana one, let's just I know it's a month and a half later, but let's do a quick shout out to Jonathan Beltran, who was able to get those pins for me and you.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of love right there for somebody to get both of us a pin, you know?
Yeah, we thank you for that. Again, it's like, you know, we're a little late, you know, comparatively speaking when this episode drops, but thank you for the pins, Jonathan.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man. I'm a huge Morgana fan, and it fit. I did not expect that, you know, at all. So
right. No, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, not much in the way of merchandise. Unfortunately, Funko did not do a third wave of action figures this year, and that's a shame because they did it last year and the year before, and I was really hoping they'd do it again. But I don't think they sold very well. The first wave was on clearance for a long time, and the second wave came and went so fast, I barely saw it. So I don't think those were very strong sellers, so I think those are done, unfortunately, and we haven't gotten any more pops since the Megavolt one.
Yeah.
Negaduck was re-released, but that barely counts. It's a re-release.
Yeah, it's a re-release.
But aside from merchandise, though, a few cool things did happen. Earlier in the year, back in March, there was a 90s night at Disneyland where they lit up the castle and they played different Disney Afternoon theme songs. They actually got Jim to record a line as Darkwing for that.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
and Darkwing was meeting at Disneyland that night. He has
Oh, that's
not been at
cool.
he has not been at Disney World in years, but he's shown up at Disneyland periodically. And I guess the biggest Darkwing news of the year, definitely one of it was when he showed up on DuckTales. The Duck
Oh
Knight
yeah,
Returns. That was huge.
that was very
Um,
huge. And the last episode too of the season.
and the Moonvasion one.
Yeah.
But yeah, after the Duck Knight Returns, Darkwing was trending for a while after that.
Hmm.
So was Ted Stones because he voiced the security guard, so he got his name out there too. So Darkwing Duck, made the news a while back in May, and then things, got pretty busy later this year. Darkwing Duck the series showed up on iTunes and Google Play, not Amazon though.
Yeah,
Uh,
or Voodoo. iTunes, I definitely thought it was a fair deal. What was it, like $20 for all episodes?
Something like that, yeah.
25 bucks I think for all the episodes. Google Play, I don't know what they were thinking. They have it listed where you could only buy it by individual episode. And it's like $2.99 an episode. You
Oh,
cannot buy
same thing
it.
with YouTube as well.
Okay, yeah, man. Well, Google owns YouTube, so they
Oh,
probably yeah,
okay,
yeah. So
that makes
it's
sense.
yeah, it's kind of weird. You can't buy a season, you can't buy a volume, nothing. It's like just per episode. So I don't know how they screwed that up. Oh, and
Oh,
one last thing, Mike, kind of backtracking here. You mentioned the DuckTales. Remember, we got a sneak peek of Stillbeak too at the end of the DuckTales.
oh, right, yeah. And of course, back in July, we found out Goslin's coming back, Taurus Bulb is coming back next year. The episodes were season 3 was supposed to start this year, but that didn't happen.
Hmm.
So we're getting some Darkwing goodness on DuckTales next year in 2020. But
The Gosling thing was for announced D23, right?
no, Comic-Con.
San Diego Comic Con. That's right.
Yes,
Okay.
Comic-Con. And of course, what really overshadowed the iTunes and Google thing was definitely Disney Plus, Darkwing being on that.
Hmm.
And of course, not just Darkwing, almost the complete Disney afternoon. That was huge. So it's been, not much in the way of merchandise, but it's still been a pretty big year for Darkwing. He was trending for a while,
He was
and
number 2 all of social media and number 1 for Disney Plus when he was trending. Man, that's big.
right, it was big. And like I said back when we did our Flash Quack on Disney Plus, I predict big things next year for Darkwing. Fingers
Hmm.
crossed. I hope. And we'll
Yeah,
see what happens. Don't want to
yeah,
make any predictions yet, but we'll see what
yeah,
happens.
yeah. You better not jinx it, Mike, or yeah, me and you gonna have some problems here.
Knock on wood. All right, so yeah, that was 2019 for Darkwing Duck. Was
Yeah,
fun, and we have an episode to do.
yeah. Let's go ahead and get into Bearskin Thug.
Ready to go camping, Will?
Yeah, man. I remembered this one on Disney Afternoon when it first aired. This was one of the few episodes I got lucky on to catch when it was airing. When it first aired, I didn't have to wait for my cousin Ivan tapes. That's what I call them, the Ivan tapes. Yeah, so I was lucky on this one. It's a fun episode. It's a little different. It's more of a Drake and Goss and outdoorsy. But I like these type of episodes because it gets you away from the typical. It's not the same thing over and over. You know,
This Up until the last act, this episode's a sitcom.
yeah, definitely a sitcom. It's fun. Do I prefer these episodes all the time? Of course not. But I did like this one. It's good. I can't speak for you. But Mike, let's go ahead and tell us the production and air date.
Okay, so this one ended the third week of Disney afternoon shows for that year. So it aired Friday, September 27th, 1991, and it was 26th in production order.
Hmm.
Our story editor was Tad,
Hey,
and
Ted.
hey Tad, he also wrote this one along with a writer named Pat Corcoran. This writer doesn't really have much in the way of credits. The only other major thing this person wrote was another Darkwing episode called A Duck by Any Other Name, which we're getting to a while from now.
Mhm.
Otherwise, doesn't really have any other writing credits, like one or two minor things, but that was really it. And since once I realized how much Tad had to do with this episode, I actually reached out to him. and asked him if he had anything notable to tell me about this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was curious. This is a very different episode. It's very light on the superhero stuff, and it's basically Drake and Gaz, and it's a camping show. Like every show does a camping show. And I wanted to know, I wanted to have some of his input. And basically, Tad told me this was basically an experimental episode for him. And he wanted to give it the feeling of an old Donald Duck short. And I do know exactly what he's talking about because there is a 1938 Donald Duck short called Good Scouts, where it's Donald Duck out in the wilderness with Huey, Dewey, and Louie. And this episode definitely has that feel through some of it too.
Yeah, so it definitely does.
I see what he was trying to do, and it definitely is an experiment. I'll give him that. But I think it's an experiment that worked. Although Tad himself said it's kind of funny that he wrote this one considering all he kept telling the writers was to make sure you get Darkwing out there on the forefront because that's what people want to see, the guy in the cape.
Mm-hmm.
So he thinks it's funny that it was him who came up with this episode.
Now, real quick,
mostly
Mike,
Drake through the whole thing.
Real quick, Mike, I'm going to get you completely off subject here. Real quick, what's your favorite summer camp movie? You can't say Friday the 13th. Go.
I don't think I have any favorite summer camp movies.
No? Oh, man.
Nothing off top of my head.
Okay, well, mine is a movie called The Pig's Tale. You probably never heard of it.
I grew up watching The Parent Trap, and there's lots of summer camp in that one at the beginning, but I don't really think that counts.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it might, but no, I didn't. Yeah, I can't think of one.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get back on the topic. Who's our animator?
Sunwoo.
Sunwoo. Okay. Sunwoo's always solid. They're decent.
Yeah, there's nothing that jumps out at me in this episode specifically.
There's one thing that did for me. One thing. We'll get to it though.
Okay, mention it when we get there.
Okay.
Otherwise, this is their usual work. Nothing bad though. It's late enough in production where the characters look okay, and it's typical Sunwoo. It's nothing terrible, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I've noticed every time we got Sunwoo, it's pretty decent. No really complaints to me, but there's always like one scene I'm like, hey, that looks dope, you know?
Yeah, Sunwoo has that habit. They'll catch you off guard with something good.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start here. We get some Goslin and Honker hanging out in Goslin's bedroom.
Eating Fruit Loops. Or it looks like Fruit Loops.
It looks like Fruit Loops. And reading the Sunday newspaper. Yeah. Now, I want to ask you, Will, did you do that as a kid? Reading the Sunday funnies?
Yeah, I always read the comics. Of course, I read the sports. That's about it. So I was pretty much just like Goslin on this, man. The comics. I pretty much read all the comics. I didn't care which one it was. I read them all.
I want to ask you though, what was your favorite Sunday comic?
I gotta go with Beetle Bailey, man. That dude was hilarious to me, man. You know.
I'm going with Calvin and Hobbes.
Calvin and Hobbes, that's one of my favorites too. That's up there, yeah.
I love Calvin and Hobbes. Still holds up.
Yeah, Peanuts was one of my favorites. I loved when they had Dennis the Menace on there. He wasn't on there often though.
Garfield too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Garfield, man. But Beetle Bailey, I think it always stood out to me because, you know, me growing up in a military family and the fact that he was the same rank for over 100 years, just a buck private, like, man, this dude's never going to get promoted, man, you know?
Those are comics for you. Nothing changes.
Yeah.
Garfield's always going to hate Monday, and Charlie Brown never kicked the football. So yeah, they're just hanging out, Goslin's bedroom, reading comics and eating cereal, and then Goslin discovers it's camping season.
And she freaks out, man.
I love that. I love that look in her face when she gets right into Honker's face and goes, camping season.
But Honker has different feelings toward that, though.
He says it sounds like fun to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed something interesting here. Goslin says that every year her dad becomes like the true outdoorsman. How would she know this?
Okay, you just messed it up. You got all technical there, man. You come on, you know it's fun and all that. It builds the character.
But if she was adopted, how would she know that Drake is like this every single year?
Yeah, but ain't this the first time we like get a glimpse of her saying she hates camping? Because she does it several times, doesn't she? Mentions it.
Yeah, I mean, most kids don't like camping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
that's true.
I don't blame her.
I was okay with camping as a kid. I just didn't want to. Oh, you hated it? I was okay. Yeah, I just couldn't go. Like once we went past that first night, after that, I was ready to get back home, get back to my electricity and all that kind of stuff. But I
I
didn't
was
mind fishing. I didn't mind cooking and starting fires. That stuff was fun to me a little bit.
I was in Cub Scouts. I hated it. I hated it. And the couple of times I've gone camping as an adult,
Hmm.
I also hated it.
Oh, okay.
No,
So just not for you.
I have not had good experience camping, and I will probably never ever do it again. But yeah, so I feel for Goslin in this one. So we
And
get the start of a running gag. You
yeah,
know where I'm going with this running gag.
yeah, she's trying to hide everything. I don't know why she picked the sofa to hide everything under. That was a little strange.
But she's got this inflatable raft, which
Yep.
figures into the entire episode. It keeps coming back.
Oh yeah.
And that's her undoing. Because she hides everything under the couch. Drake sees the pull cord, yanks it, and then everything bursts out from under the couch and then lands in the living room, a complete camping setup.
Oh yeah. Perfect.
Fireplace and all.
Hmm.
Not fireplace. No, what do you call it? Campfire and all. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's just hilarious because then Drake gets all excited. He's ready to go. He's like, let's get it going right now. It's camp. Well, he checks the calendar first to make sure it's camping season, and he's ready to rock and roll, man. He's loading up the car. He's ready to go.
Drake is the true outdoorsman. That's what he says throughout the entire show.
Yeah.
And,
But Goss comes up with a plan though. She was like,
Yeah.
if the car doesn't get packed, we don't have to go.
So Drake has these backpacks, a whole pile of them in the garage. Why he has so many, who knows? But he keeps carrying them over to the station wagon, and she keeps bringing them back to the garage, and he doesn't notice her.
Mhm.
And just as we're thinking, how many does he need? Drake says, how many of these things do we need?
Yeah. And then go ahead, Mike.
No, it's fine. He figures out what she's doing.
Yeah.
And puts a stop to it. And he fills up the car, like nice and tight, gets in the car, and then she pulls on the ripcord again.
Yeah, that raft.
And the raft inflates in the car, and I love Jim doing Drake's face smashed against the windshield,
Mm-hmm.
like the mumbling.
Yeah.
He's basically cursing out Goslin, but you can't hear it. So one of my favorite moments in this episode is like early. I like this first act because I like it. It's just very like casual. It's just like Darkwing and Goslin at odds over something.
Mm-hmm.
Not even Darkwing. I should call him Drake the whole show, shouldn't I?
Yeah, this is a Drake episode.
Yeah, if you want him as Darkwing, you're gonna have a long wait. But yeah, my favorite moment in this opening scene is where he starts to drive away and she has the car tied to a chain.
Oh yeah.
And the chassis get ripped right out from under the car,
Mm-hmm.
and the frame skids along the road. That's like my favorite Sun Wu animation in this episode.
Okay, that's a good one though.
It's probably not what you're referring to, but the way the frame bounces along the road as the chassis gets ripped out from under it is great. Mm-hmm. And then he has to rent a Volkswagen and chains Goslin to the passenger seat.
Yeah,
it's great. So take it from here. Where are they going?
Yeah, they're pulling up to the park, but when they pull up to the park, they notice they're the only ones coming in, and everyone is flying out of there like 100 miles an hour. They're getting out of there, man.
Yeah, people can't get out of there fast enough. And the park ranger, who is voiced by Hal Rail, tells him it's a bear. And Darkwing's like, so it's a bear. There's bound to be bears. We're going camping. But obviously this bear is definitely a lot more of a threat than Darkwing thinks, because that ranger is out of there. Ranger station and all. Runs right down the road.
Yeah, and it's funny because when Drake pulls up into the camp, you notice the animals are even leaving.
Yeah, they've packed their bags and they're out of there. But there is a bear. He's watching them from up on a hill.
Yeah.
So
Drake wants to set up camp, and he points his thumb out there, and he tells Goss the perfect way to set up the camp. You got to know how to do it.
Yeah.
And she starts beginning to sabotage, though.
Yeah, well, he's not all that great at what he's doing.
Nah.
For the true outdoorsman, Drake, yeah, he's a little incompetent. He can't get the tent stakes into the ground. Actually, the mallet he's using bounces up the stake and hits him right in the face.
And he
And
shatters into little pieces.
yeah, he shatters. Then he uses a jackhammer
No,
and
she
ends
used
up.
the jackhammer, didn't she?
Well, he takes it away from her,
Yeah.
doesn't he? And he
Hmm.
digs himself a hole in the ground.
Hmm.
And then instead of using the stakes, he ties the tent to a rock and a sapling.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Yeah, and it works until Goslin kind of twangs at the string, and the whole tent falls apart.
Yeah. And then he sends her to go get firewood.
He tells her to chop some firewood, and she runs off, and he's like, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. So he has her pick up twigs, and as she's picking up the twigs, she doesn't notice the bear is right behind her.
Yeah.
And this is a big bear, man.
He's huge.
I love the bear design.
He has a name, but they haven't got to that yet, though.
Yeah. Like, this is a monster of a bear.
Hmm.
Like, they've done bears in other Disney afternoon shows, but a lot of the time they just, like, go to Humphrey the bear.
Hmm.
Like, you know Humphrey the bear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, he was on Rescue Rangers, he was on Goof Troop, but this bear, like I said, this bear's a monster. But he just keeps missing her.
Yep.
He swings at her, his claw gets stuck in a tree, he falls into the river, and Goslin has no idea what's going on. And Goslin said there must be some new definition of fun that she doesn't know about.
Yeah. And then she gets back to the camp.
Right, and it's time to have some dinner.
Yep, we get dehydrated food.
Yep, which seems nice until the steak deflates when she sticks a fork in it.
Yeah.
So much for that.
What was it? It was a steak, an egg, and what was the third? Corn. That's right.
No, it was mashed potatoes with butter in it.
Oh, it was mashed potato?
Yes,
I thought it was an egg. Okay.
It looks like eggs. You're right, but you wouldn't serve eggs with steak and corn.
Okay.
But yeah, so they can't eat. So Drake pulls out the marshmallows.
Mm-hmm.
And what does Goslin do with the marshmallow?
Oh, shoot. The tent catches on fire.
Yeah, I do love that the marshmallow's on fire and Goslin's like, "We're hit, Captain. We're going down. Oh, the humanity." And yeah, he snatches it from her, and the burning marshmallow sets the tent on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, no more tent.
Yep, and then they call it a night.
Yeah, they go to sleep in a little pup tent.
Yep, but what happens though in the little pup tent?
She inflates her quote unquote air mattress.
And the raft comes up
It's the
again.
raft. I love it's such a great running gag, this raft.
And this scene ended with the bear though.
Bear's watching them.
Yeah, he's watching them with the moon in the background, man.
Yeah, this is the end of Act 1, basically. I love this entire act. Like I said, this is like the most sitcom-y Darkwing Duck ever gets.
Yeah.
But the bear makes an appearance finally, and they see him.
Yeah, so Drake wants to fight him.
Yep, because of course he's not just a true outdoorsman. He's Darkwing Duck. He doesn't put on the costume, but he tries to do some karate, and this bear is tough. Much tougher than he thought. And the bear tries to suffocate him by giving him a bear hug.
The good old wrestling bear hug move, huh?
More great acting from Jim trying to talk as he's being suffocated.
Yeah.
So Goslin comes in with a shovel.
Oh man, she smacked him hard too.
Like clang right in the face, and the bear's head starts spinning. So you know something's not quite right with this bear.
Yeah, not yet though, but you can kind of pick up there's something going on here.
and just when things look their worst, our favorite neighbors show up.
The Mudderfoots are moving. The Mudderfoots are moving. They show up.
They show up. They smack right in the bear, who bounces right down the hill.
And
so this scene of the Muddlefoot suddenly showing up in their big RV, it so reminds me of the Goofy movie when Pete showed up the same way in his RV.
Oh yeah.
Remember? It's like kind of the same thing.
Yeah, that is true. He said they didn't have all the super gadgets and stuff though. But yeah, does. Yeah, I get the metaphor here. I do get it.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah.
And even Pete was also Jim Cummings' character too, so you even got Jim. So yeah, the Muddlefoot all show up, and Herb's excited to be there, and Binky is too, and
Honker
Tank,
is. But
Tank's
Tank
not.
ain't. He's not happy at all.
And he's ready to take it out on Drake. I hear I have you to thank for this trip.
Yeah, and then Herb picks the campsite just like the way Drake does.
No, Herb's not wrong. If Drake likes the campsite, it's a good campsite. But of course, Herb drove over the tent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Drake and Goslin decide to go fishing.
Yeah, they take that raft.
They take that raft. And they're going fishing, and it's just like, more jokes about going camping. Drake gets his head stuck in a fish, but they're being watched. Not just by the bear.
We got Steelbeak.
Is it Steelbeak? I see a hand. I hear Rob Paulson's voice, but I don't know. If I was watching this for the first time, I wouldn't know who it was. Either way, we know who it is, and it's 15 minutes into the episode already.
15 minutes, man. Wow.
Remember when we watched Easy Come Easy Grows, and we said it took forever for Bushroot to show up?
Yeah.
Well, this one tops it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we know it's Steelbeak. Obviously, don't beat around the bush. We know it's Steelbeak. But you just see his hand. He talks to the bear. The bear's name is Bruno. And the bear basically is supposed to be scaring campers away. We don't know why yet. And he hits the bear in the face with another shovel. I love the sound effect when he hits him with the shovel. Just the bong. But yeah, so they're fishing, and the bear falls into the water. All the fish fall into the raft.
Yeah, it looks like Goslin catches them.
right after Goslin says she would use a candy bar as bait. And all the fish fall into the raft. So they bring it back to the campsite. They have a fish fry. And Drake is just mad. He's aggravated. He does not want the Muddlefoots there.
Yeah, because they're not roughing it to his style,
No, did you see the chandelier hanging from the tree?
Man, they had the TV. They had the tablecloth. They had the candles and everything for like a candlelight dinner. And
yeah, Drake mentioned they brought a microwave.
Yeah, he mentioned it, but I didn't see it though.
No, I didn't see it either.
Okay.
And of course the TV, it's only a portable, Binky says.
Yeah.
But no, Drake is just really mad. He gets up and he goes, they should be like foraging off the land, eating nuts and berries and dirt and stuff. And so he drags Goslin off to go rough it, and Tank eats all of Goslin's fish.
Yeah, he tore that fish up too, man.
No, Tank's an animal, man. So Drake's out in the woods, showing Goslin how you can eat certain plants. And my favorite line in the episode, Goslin goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, my dad, the mutant cow." So she goes running off in the woods, doesn't she? Yeah, she's done because Drake's making a fool of himself right now, and she's had it. And so she wanders off into the woods and bumps into some Eggmen.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Now 3 of them.
Oh, was it 3? Okay.
All 3 sizes: short, medium, and huge. Short, medium, and swole, basically. Yeah. And backs into our favorite rooster.
They finally show him complete.
At 17 and a half minutes. Nice to see you, Steelbeak. Yep. This is the latest any villain is ever going to show up in an episode.
Now, Mike, I'm going to pause you just for a second. Did they play the Steelbeak Jazz theme song? I don't remember hearing it on this episode.
I don't think it plays in this one.
Okay, so this is the first time they don't do it.
No, I don't remember hearing it at all.
Okay.
And so Steelbeak captures Goslin, and he reveals his plan. Will, remember what the plan is? What's Fal's plan?
Go ahead, man. I don't remember the exact words he said, but they were like, go ahead.
No problem. It's all right. They're cutting down trees, hollowing them out, and sticking nuclear missiles in the trees so nobody can suspect what they're doing.
Okay, see, I thought you were going to say like the exact words how he was going to say it.
No, I don't remember all of that. No.
He was hiding the nuclear missiles under the tree. Like, he was taking over the whole forest. I think that's why everybody, that pretty much reveals why the bear is scaring everybody out of there.
Yeah, and Goslin's words come back to haunt her when Steelbeak says that he hates nature. Fresh air makes him gag. He even kills a little butterfly with bug spray.
Little spray can? Yeah, I saw that.
The poor bug. And he ties up Goslin, puts her on a stake, and sticks her over a hot geyser.
Yeah.
Because you're not a camping cartoon if you don't have some sort of hot geyser. Every cartoon does that. The Donald Duck cartoon I mentioned has one of those too. So maybe Tad was thinking of that. when he came up with the geyser. And finally, Drake notices Goslin. He's got a eucalyptus twig, and he's cleaning out his earwax with it, and it's going in one side of his head and out the other. Mm-hmm. This is gross. He notices she's not there, so it's Darkwing Duck time.
Yeah, he spots Steelbeak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He looks in the binoculars. Yeah. He's like, let's see, trees, bear, Steelbeak, Goslin, nuclear missiles, more trees.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are
20 minutes.
We are
almost.
20.
We're like a couple seconds from 20 minutes. Couple seconds for 20 minutes.
But it's still. How long is the show? 22 minutes?
Yeah, 22 minutes.
20 minutes to get Darkwing Duck. And I'm not really complaining because I like this episode. It's not one of my favorites, but I think all that Drake and Goslin stuff is a lot of fun and it builds on their relationship. I actually like the first 2 acts more than the last act. Yeah. Personally. If the whole thing was just Drake and Goslin in the woods and there was no Steelbeak and there was no conflict, I would not have a single negative thing to say. I'm throwing it out there right now. But Darkwing has to be on the show, so here he is, and he gets his entrance, which I do like. He goes, I am the pustulant blister that burst in your boot. And the Eggmen are grossed out by it. They're like, ew.
Yeah, Steelbeak is, he's frustrated. Like, oh my God, he's always popping up, you know?
He goes, oh no, not here. So, Darkwing's sick of this bear. And he goes, I hate to do this to a semi-endangered species. And he burns off all the bear's fur. Like, he is prepared to kill a living creature.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, and this is where it's finally revealed it's not a real bear.
No, and I think we all saw that coming.
Yeah.
It's a robot. Mm-hmm. And the robot smashes Darkwing, turns him into an accordion. And we get a gag where Darkwing can hear his voice in the robot's throat. And so it's up to Goslin to save the day.
Yep, she burns Steelbeak.
She gives him a hot foot. I like Rob Paulson's performance as Steelbeak is yelling and jumping up and down in the air after she burns his foot. And then the climax of this running gag, along comes the inflatable raft again. I love it. It's just like they're so good with running gags on this show. They're so smart with it. The writing is so terrific. And I'm gonna say, and I don't say that because Tad wrote this one. And she inflates the rubber raft under the bear, who falls into the geyser, and then Darkwing does his double flip web kick.
He's been waiting for it. He was waiting to do that for like a whole minute.
I think this is the first time he mentions it. I know he does it again.
Yeah. He
kicks the Eggmen. They crash into Steelbeak. Everybody ends up in the geyser, and pow, off they go. Yep. And so yeah, the villains are gone.
And Darkwing saves the day, and the true outdoors person.
Yeah, Goslin goes, true outdoors person. Because at this point, she's all decked out in camping gear and a fishing pole. And we forgot to mention that when Darkwing gets knocked out, she wakes him up with leaves that are like smelling salts.
Yeah.
And we get this cute little moment where Darkwing realizes that she was paying attention to all of his lectures, which is sweet.
Yeah, because she saved him also from the bear with the fishing pole.
Yeah, so Goslin learned, it's a nice ending. It's cute. I like this episode, Will. I don't think it's as bad as I've heard people give this one a bad rep.
Really?
I have.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know it was hated or anything. I
wouldn't say hated, but I've heard this one get some negative attention for, like I said, not being much of a Darkwing episode, being more like a Goof Troop show. I don't see it. I think this one's a lot of fun.
I mean, to me, you got to change it up. You can't do 91 episodes. They're all the same, and some are going to hit, some are going to miss. This one hit to me, man.
Right. I mean, the last episode we did, he was Darkwing the whole way through, and Goslin wasn't even in it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Launchpad's not in this one, though.
Nope. The second episode with no Launchpad. And I said back when we did Paradox, I like it when he's not always there, because it gives Darkwing and Goslin a chance to connect just the two of them without Launchpad there to be their buffer.
Yeah.
And I like that. And this episode would not, I don't think, be as strong if he was in the episode. Because you need it to just be the two of them.
Yeah.
So I like it. Will, what would you rate this episode?
I'm gonna go 3. I'm gonna give it 3 gas gun canisters. It's fun. It's solid. It got the raft joke that just keeps popping up, makes it funny. You know, honkers here and there to help a little bit. The
All
Muddlefoots bring some humor to it. You know, halfway through.
all the
Uh,
camping jokes in the first act with
yeah,
the tent stakes and the marshmallows and the burning tent, all of that stuff too.
yeah. You
Um,
know, and we didn't really need Steelbeak and Darkwing in this episode, but you know, because of the title, you got to have the supervillain, and then you got to have Darkwing, of course. But you know, I like it. It's fun.
yeah. I mean, one thing that Tad did say when he when I talked to him, he thinks it's possible that all the visual gags in this episode took more time to play out than they usually would, and that's why the episode was so unbalanced.
Hmm.
But that's why I love the episode. Just all those visual gags, you
Now,
know?
I forgot to mention the scene that I liked with the animation was the scene when they first started fishing, and like before they show them fishing, you could see the sun hitting the water, and it was like between the two mountains, and then the bear was like at the end of the woods, you know, like the
Mm,
shoreline. Yeah, I thought that
right.
was a beautiful shot, man.
This episode always has great backgrounds and layouts. Even
Hmm.
if the animation of the characters themselves are not always perfect, the Darkwing Duck is fun to look at,
Yeah.
you know?
So, so how many gas gun canisters you gonna give this one, Mike?
I'm going to give it 3 as well.
Okay.
I think it's just a great episode just to watch Drake and Goslin play off each other.
Okay.
You know, I think that's the most important thing about this episode. Like I said, if it was just the two of them and no Steelbeak, I would have been perfectly happy. This is, you know, like Steelbeak, you know, this isn't one of his better shows.
No.
Like honestly, he just comes in late, doesn't do much, you know, and it's just you see the limitations with Steelbeak.
Hmm.
You know, this is the third Steelbeak show, and already he's kind of thrown off as a nothing villain. Like they wouldn't have done this to Negaduck or Quackerjack or Megavolt, obviously not. But
Okay.
oh well.
Are we gonna rate Bruno or no?
Let's rate Bruno. Why not?
Okay. I'll give him a 2.
Okay, I want to give him a 3, only because, like I said, he's a cool design,
Yeah.
and he's threatening, and I love the reveal that he was a robot.
Hmm.
Adds a little bit more to him, you know. So I'm 3. I want to give Bruno a 3. He's a cool bear.
Okay. Yeah, Bruno was solid to me. He, you know, too. He's not much. He's just a threat, you know, scaring people off. But he's not a bad threat, you know.
No, not at all. It was cool. I mean, the Eggmen were in it, but they didn't really do anything. They didn't even talk.
Yeah.
And so yeah, fun episode. Fun episode. I like it.
Okay.
I
So
like it. I think I like it more as an adult than I did as a kid. I will say
okay.
that. There are Darkwing episodes I loved when I was a kid that I don't love as much now, but there are plenty that I would never watch as a kid that I absolutely love now. This is definitely one of them.
Okay. So Mike, what episode we got next, man?
I'm excited for the next episode, Will, because we're back to Saturday morning.
Uh-huh.
Finally, we're getting Fungus Among Us.
Morgana.
Yes,
The
Morgana is finally here.
the McCullers. Yes.
Yes, and on top of that, we're back with Disney Australia.
Oh.
And it'll be the first Saturday morning episode we're reviewing that we can watch on Disney Plus. And this one really needed a better quality copy after all these years, and I'll talk all about that when we review it.
Hmm.
But I'm excited, definitely very excited.
Oh yeah, me too, man. You know, I'm a Morgana fan. She's not my favorite, but she's up there for me, man.
This is one of the all-time greats coming up.
Okay. All right. So, Mike, man, you want to tell the people where they can listen to us at?
Oh yeah, we are the St. Canard Files, a Darkwing Duck podcast, of course. You can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, Apple devices, over on YouTube, Pocket Cast, and Radio Public. Got them all.
Hmm.
And you can find me on Facebook, Mike Russo. Where can they find you?
I'm Will Santana. I'm also on Facebook. We also have an Instagram page, y'all. Also, I want to give a shout out this week to Reed Murphy, man. He's been very active on our page.
Great.
So shout out to Reed.
And Bruno's getting a character of the week, so look for that.
Oh, okay.
Well, I have to. There's no other characters to do in this episode. We've done them. We've done all of them. So yeah, that's Bearskin Thug. That's this episode.
All right, so Mike, man, I guess I can't wait for this Fungus Among Us episode, man. I love that episode, dude.
Me too. And to all of our listeners, I hope you guys had a great 2019. I hope nothing but great things for everybody listening, and for Darkwing Duck too, of course. And everybody have a really happy New Year.
Yeah, y'all have a happy New Year and stay dangerous.
Have a good night.
Good night, y'all.